Welcome to the Mother Hustler podcasts. My name is Kareen Mills. I'm your host. I have the honor today to interview Miss Melina Simone Montelongo. Welcome, Melina.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so
You
excited.
are so welcome. Thanks for gracing us with your time today. Can't wait to truly hear your journey and what all happened. You can even go as far as before your TV show that was a hit. Um, I watched you on that TV show. It was so awesome, and it's almost so cool how it's evolved too. Where I used to watch you on the TV show, and now I'm speaking with you, and you're on the podcast, which is amazing
Yeah.
because we have one thing in common. It's the Mother Hustler, just the brand and just really embody that.
Yeah,
So
you're
I'll
telling
just,
me about that.
yeah.
I actually contacted my attorney, I guess I would say 3 or 4 weeks back, about trademarking the term mother hustler because I wanted to put it on t-shirts and have a trademark sign
Mhm.
on the side. And he said that somebody else had already had the trademark on it, but that it had been like it defaulted, so it wasn't good any longer. But there was going to be a hurdle because hustler is in the term and that's already been trademarked, and so it's kind of like non-trademarkable. It's like
Wow.
you have a really hard time doing which I feel has some power because it's not mine, it's not yours, it's not hers. It's like this vibe amongst women
Yes.
who are moms, who are hustling, who are like paving their own path. So I was really excited about that. I was like,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's like
Plus
it doesn't
it's
belong to
really,
anybody. It's everybody,
yeah.
you know?
Plus it's really a combination of two words, right? And it's just a combination because now there's so many moms popping up that are really chasing their own dreams and no longer sitting on the sideline and watching everybody else do it. Because I think back in the days, there's like, you're either a stay-at-home mom or you're a career
Mhm.
woman, and you couldn't do both because having a career was very restrictive of your time. So you'll have other people raise your children, and of course, there's always the school system that doesn't always provide the full-on education that really truly requires for life, period.
Right. Oh yeah.
So being hands-on and being there, and this I'm thankful for the school system because I'm allowed a few hours to really hustle, and I
Right.
can get a lot of things done during that time period. But I know that I need to supplement that care, that education, with something like personal development, coaching my
Absolutely.
kids, things of that nature. So going back to you, I want to make sure that we hear your story because this is what it's all about. We need to empower women. We need to empower moms. And what's funny is there's actually a lot of, a lot of men that has reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to listen to your podcast." And
Yeah.
I think guys has a lot, we all have a lot to learn from each other, but I really truly think that a lot of guys now are more self-aware that the women are rising and
Yeah.
that they could really learn a lot from, especially the moms that are doing it all.
Yes. That's awesome. I love the idea of men reaching out to you for the pure fact of they're interested in understanding where we're coming from. I feel like
Yes.
when there's a level of understanding, then there gets to be a level of connection. And then when you understand, connect, there's a place created for intimacy in the sense of understanding each other on a deeper level underneath the
Hmm.
masks and the trials and tribulations, so to speak. But I guess that started for me very early on. I started working when I was 15 years old, and
Wow.
it was really to get out of my parents' house, basically, because my brother was in a really bad car accident when I was 13 years old, and it was the focus shifted to taking care of him, making sure that he stayed growing, learned how to walk again, learned how to
Wow.
read again. So he was in a really bad, tragic car accident. So during that time, I was like 13 years old, trying to figure out what my place was in my family. Like,
Wow.
and I became responsible. I became the responsible one very quickly because I thought, okay, I could get into drugs, I could be promiscuous, I could be a pain in the ass for my parents, or I could be like, okay, it's time for me to step up and take care of myself, you
Yeah.
know, and be self-guiding, self-taught. So I actually went into high school and decided, I told my parents, I was like, look, I either get wrapped up in all these things or I homeschool and get done with this, get over this quickly. And I enrolled them in the idea. They let me homeschool. I graduated. No, I'm sorry. I got to the point of graduation, fell in love, and said, I'm getting married. This is my quickest way out.
That's
I got,
that's funny
yeah.
because there's a lot there to, not to cut you off, but there's a lot of culture that getting married is the way out of the household.
Yes.
To even in my culture, I'm Filipino, and there's a lot of Filipino young women that marry just to get, for the wrong reasons, just to get out of a household. I also see this in the Russian community here in the Pacific Northwest. We have a lot of Russian community. I also see that same thing. So I wonder if that exists in your culture.
Absolutely. When you were talking about, I thought that was my path. I was going to get married, have kids, take care of the home, you know, make dinner, have it ready at 5 o'clock. My husband would come home. I'd make him dinner. You know, that's what I was taught. But I had this undertone, this vibe of like, that's not me. Like I see myself doing that, you know, although being in relationship or being married was very much so my path. I knew I wanted to be in a partnership very early on. And I'm Latino, right? I'm Mexican. I have some Irish and some Cherokee blood. So family and intensity runs through my veins. And but my role model, of course, was my mom. I had my mom and my grandmother, and they very much so took care of the home and the children. And but both David and I found our way out of our homes, the idealism of religion that really was highly integrated into our lives, our family lives. We were both ready to like bust out, you know, and it's not always a good thing because I was 18, he was 20, and we had so much to learn, and we were making very what's the word? Very life altering decisions at a very young age. Wow. You know, so
that's awesome, dude. It's wow. Yeah. So David was, when you say you got married to get out of the house, it was David.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We've been married. We'll be married 22 years this month. Like next May 24th will be 22 years. And we're in a transition right now. So we got married really young, had kids really young. I did exactly what I saw my mom doing because I thought I'll get married young, have kids young, get a house. I want a house before my second anniversary. You know, I thought I had it all planned out. Yeah. And then we can have kids. We'll have them 3 years apart. You know, everything was planned.
Mine's 3 years apart.
Yeah, it's a great spread. And my brother and I are 3 years apart. So I felt like that was perfect. Right? I'm going to have it all planned out. And it happened that way. And during the time of men evolving during their 20s, 30s, you know, Dave's off trying to find himself and discover his path and his manhood. And so I'm taking care of kids and we're in business together. So we started our remodeling company and moved to Austin, Texas. And we did very well. We took our last $7,000 and we moved our complete home. We had our house. We kept it as a rental. That was our first test of being an real estate investor. So we kept the first house that we bought. We still have interest in it right now, actually. And so we rented it and we moved to Austin. And as far as marketing branding goes, it's all just been like trial and error. Like I didn't go to college for it, nothing. It's just like read, find mentors, trial and error, see what works. And so we took that for 7,000, got into an apartment and put all of it into a home show. Like, you know, the home and garden shows that come through the city. I took, I printed pictures of his jobs that he had done locally, framed them. I found a sponsor and they decorated our booth. So I'm like, look, we're going to be in front of 5,000 people this weekend. Do you want to put your furniture in our spot? And they said, yeah, sure. So I created this little living room scenario, and we just sold jobs. We sold jobs, and we had a $500,000 company in less than a year in Austin, Texas. And I got pregnant with my son. And we decided to move back to San Antonio.
So that's where you came from, San Antonio.
San Antonio, born and raised. Yeah, that's where I am now.
So you talked about religion, because I was the same thing, raised in, you know, the Catholic religion. Mm-hmm. And I'm too smart for my own good, for the most part.
Yes.
And as I was growing up, there were a lot of things that I just was like, yeah, I don't think that's true. You know, nah, I don't think that's true. Like, I question, to this day, I still question a lot. And you mentioned that religion and through your family. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I am grateful for being raised in the religion that I was raised in. We were raised as Jehovah's Witnesses. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful for the level of morality and community that I learned. And David was also raised in that religion. And at the same time, we started, as we got into our young adulthood, we started understanding that some things we were not aligned with. We didn't believe the way that they handled when somebody decided not to be a part of the religion, or when somebody did something that was against the rules or against Bible, you know, principle. So we left the religion pretty early on in our lives, our marriage. But to this day, I believe that there is no one true religion. No religion has, I heard Marianne Williamson say this, no religion has a monopoly on truth. And that religion very much comes from the truth. We're the chosen, you know, we're God's, and I just don't believe that, especially with the people that I've met along the way. I believe that there's a divine in each of us, and each of us has a connection to our Creator in whatever way we choose for it to be. But how in the world could we put a label on that? And how in the world can I believe one set of, you know, standards or one set of beliefs?
Yeah.
I have a lot of belief from what I hear and what I've compared my beliefs to. I believe in a lot of Buddhist beliefs. I believe Christian, of course. And I just, a little Hindu. I'm like, really? I didn't realize the connection there, but it just is. So I don't believe in organized religion anymore. And
yeah,
in the core of spirituality, is love and connection, and coming to this life in the best way that I can. I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to do my best, not for only for myself, but for my children and for my community, and then the world beyond. So I feel like I believe that the religion that we were raised in gave us a great foundation. And it was up to us to use our tools, our God-given tools, to create the beliefs on top of that. You know?
Yeah. And when life happens, you know, I think that a lot of the teachings can be applicable to real life. And it's truly like I think religion, and any religion, is kind of like a lot of the personal development gurus. There's very different gurus out there, and it's up to you who to follow. And they have a very different style. And I think that's sort of what religion is. You can get a little bit of a tone, like, I'm not saying it's Tony Robbins is a religion, but I'm saying personal development wise, You can get a little bit of Tony Robbins, a little bit of Grant Cardone, a little bit of everybody, and you pull them together and you believe in those, in those things that you pull together for your own life. Because every journey is very different. And I think sometimes the religion has a way of saying it's my way or the highway. If you don't believe in my religion, yours is wrong. And I love that you said that, that every religion comes from the truth, and it transfers. I mean, it's an old practice. Yep. It transfers over time, over a generation, over a long period of time. And there has to be somewhere where, it's been changed, it's been modified, things of that nature. So I want to talk about your journey and how you guys got to the AE TV show.
Okay. Yeah, so we started doing the remodeling in Austin. When we came back, David's brother said, hey, let's work together. I've got some commercial jobs going. We can do, we had they had several ideas of how they wanted to do business together, because they come from a construction background. David's father established a business here in the 80s, and he had a lumber company. And they started doing remodeling and grew their business pretty. He was pretty well known. They would pay cowboys to come on the TV commercials for them. So like, I think Charlie Waters was one of their real big, what do you call them? Endorsers, so it's really interesting to look back at that, because looking at what Mr. Montalongo did, or his name is Armando Sr., he was doing what people weren't doing in marketing and advertising a long time ago in town, and besides, San Antonio is a little behind in technology and marketing.
Really?
Yeah, they're a little behind. So when we got back together, we got back to San Antonio and got together with David's brother. We started renovating houses and selling them for ourselves instead of for other people, because we realized that we didn't have to deal with the mom that was making lunches in the morning while we were trying to get prepared to remodel her kitchen, So we said, let's just do this on our own. And we just started like wildfire, just started turn and turn houses, And then speaking of that, we started going to the different pools to find leads. So we would go to houses that were burned, they were ready to be demolished, or we would go to people who were getting divorced, and we'd go into looking at probates. And so we had all these pools of lead sources, and because we were just burning and turning, we were known in the city for just going for it, and the volume spoke for itself. So we had a hard money lender who was approached by a production company's talent. What do they call him?
Scout.
Yeah, a scout. The scout was his nephew or niece or something, and that person told the production company, "Hey, I have someone," and they had the show idea already brewing, and so the guy said, the hard money lender said, "Look, I'm just me. I work in my house. I'm boring, I'm dry, but I know these two brothers that work with their wives, and they're really busy." And so I'm telling you, the power of intention and the power of the law of attraction is incredible. About 2 weeks before we were approached, we were watching Trading Spaces. And it's so funny that it's back on TV now. I haven't watched it, but my sister-in-law, we would watch it and we'd be like, guys, check this out. This is so cute. They did this and they did that. And my husband and his brother were like, that is so Mickey Mouse. They painted the walls and they took crap in the attic and made art out of it. We could do so much better than that. And then we would talk about, we should do a TV show because we're good, and the stuff that we come across is insane. We would buy houses and there'd be people living in there, or the ceiling would fall out, or we'd find crazy memorabilia in the back shed. So we had really cool interactions already in our business. And so when he came around, we had literally spoken that into the universe and said, we want to do a show, and we would do awesome at it. And so they came to town. We started filming. We set up this whole production of a demolition and renovation. And so we usually have like, 2 or 3 trades at a time. We called
Mhm.
everybody. We bought them all food, and we said, let's like go at this. And they just saw the drive in the four of us. We'd known each other most of our lives. We'd known each other for so long. I knew David's brother Armando before I knew David, so
Wow.
he was friends with my brother. So, and this is the other thing, going back to the religion, is we all grew up together. Our families had known each other. I found a picture of David and I in his mom's photo album. I'm 4 years old and David's 5 years old. And it's like, we just go way back. And so,
Wow.
the chemistry between the four of us was undeniable. So we started shooting, and in the process of being on this national platform, and money and people and opportunities, it's like true colors come through and true intentions come through, and it just wasn't the same. The intentions weren't the same for each of us. So it got to a point where it was like, hey, like, this is our names. Like, we're not acting as so-and-so. Like, this is us. This is our business. And we're not aligned anymore, So at one point it was like, okay, we're out. Like, this doesn't work for us anymore. And slowly the business, fell apart because we just didn't have the same business ethics, business motives, the same goals. We weren't aligned. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the TV show was a curse to you guys' business?
I had often said in the past, it's a blessing and a curse. But to say it's a curse, I think gives it too much power, because I don't think that the show is it. I think it would just boils down to all of us had differences of opinion and goals. So to think of it as a curse, no, I don't think of it that way anymore. I really do think that things work or don't work in life. And at that time, it worked for a little while, and then it no longer worked after that. So I don't believe I'm cursed in any way. Any shit hits the fan often, right? Like, things happen. But to say that they're curses, I just think that for one way or another, things come in and out of our life. My vibe, my frequency, what I'm working on, attracts different things and people. But would I do it again? No.
Life happens, right? And I always believe that no matter how hard it is, it always makes sense in the end. And I asked that question not because I call it a curse, but I call a lot of adversities and a lot of challenges in life as truly what steer you in the direction that you should be going. And if it's not the direction you should be going, somehow, some way, the higher power always has the ultimate power to change the course, right?
Yes, totally
And
believe that.
yeah, and sometimes a curse could look like that in the beginning, and then you look back and you're like, that's why that happened to me. That's why, because I'm supposed to be right here, right now, talking about this topic.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the purpose in us connecting today, and even before this, right? I noticed that you mentioned we have been friends on Facebook for a while, and
A long time.
yeah, and I feel like after all this time, we come together here at this time in our lives for a specific reason, being through all of those adversities, through all of those successes. There was an underlying lack of self-worth in my part. And I feel like that might be equivalent to what you call a curse, because I feel like that undertone of limiting belief, I feel like a limiting belief could be a curse, because that is like ingrained in our bodies. Like it's part of who we are on a cellular level. And it's the matter of us going to our self-development, the development of emotional intelligence, and and realizing that ultimately we have the ability to, yes, that limiting belief is there, but we can conquer that and continue on. And if we don't, if we don't address it and have awareness of it, then it can be the bus driver. It can be the driver of the bus. It's really that driver who is leading us to the decisions that we make on a daily basis that lead to the week, the month, the year, the life, you know?
Yeah.
And if we allow it, if we say, yeah, I know you're back there, bus, but I'm in control. Yeah. The higher person, the higher me, the higher self is in control. And I understand that this happened in the past and you feel not enough, and that's okay. I love you anyways. And we're going to continue on. We're going to move forward. We're going to push forward. We're going to hustle. We're going to make this shit happen, because that's what's happening. And I feel like we are bringing this message to more women specifically, but also like as moms, I feel like we have sons. If we have sons and daughters, we have the ultimate responsibility to teach them, hey, you know, moms rule the world, women rule the world. Mother Nature, mother for nothing, you know. I mean, we're a part of this, but the energy and the power that we all have, I feel, is far more powerful than any other, you know. I mean, I just think that women have such a high power that we sometimes let the curses, the limiting beliefs disempower us.
Yeah, I so agree with you. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And I wanted to like celebrate a little bit how the mother hustler word can't be trademarked, because
yeah,
I live in I lead my life with service, and I lead my life with authenticity.
Yes.
I'm tired of, and we've all been there. I'm tired, like I told you in the private message, sanitized message.
Right.
And like I told you the other day, I had a dog barking in the background, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. That's our life as a mother hustler. We try the best we can. And I think if someone doesn't like the podcast because of that one imperfect thing in the background, then they're really truly not the tribe that we're looking for. And mother hustler is not something that can be trademarked, because I think it's a community, not just somebody owning one word, right?
Yes.
It's a tribe of women and moms that are chasing their passion for their kids and making the world a better place, and teaching their kids at the same time to lead a life to make the world a better place, realizing that we need to leave this world better than when we were here.
Absolutely.
You know, and that future, like there's a lot of things that I want to do, and there's also a lot of things that I think it's gonna have to be done beyond my lifetime. And I like, sometimes I want to train, like my kids is in constant training to be able to carry on whatever it is that I truly want to happen. During this podcast, I've had a lot of revelation and a lot of aha moments. And one of the aha moments I've had was like, wow, we can actually, every single mom that comes on this podcast can truly gift the episode to their kids. You know, when your daughter becomes a mom and want to list, like they're going through a hard time.
Yes.
And they're listening to mom going through, telling her journey, and it's always gonna, you know, I'm going through that journey right now, so I'm gonna be okay because my mom's okay, you know. Exactly. It's powerful.
It's legacy, babe.
I know.
It's legacy. So I want to honor you and acknowledge what you're doing, because it takes lady balls to go. It does. Like, for you to like create this platform for yourself, which was what I tell you. I was like, you inspire me, because I have been, should I do a podcast? Should I do videos for years? You know, maybe I need to, you know, talk to people about my story, the story behind the story, you know. And it takes courage to create this for yourself and to say, my story matters. What I have to say is important, and it will live on beyond my life in this way. And you know who is a real advocate of that is Gary Vaynerchuk. I listen to him at least 3 or 4 times a week, and he talks about, I am creating my legacy. The world will stop when I die. He's so like, I matter that much. My message matters that much. And his message is very similar to ours, is that tap into your passion and go for it, whatever it looks like. Maybe it makes money, maybe it doesn't. But your story, your come from is most likely what millions of other people are going through. And they need to hear you. They need to know that they're not alone. They need to know that they can rise through adversities or traumas, you know? So I feel like the community that you've created inspired me, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a fucking movement. Like, we like push this. Like, this train is moving, you know? And yes. the movement, I feel, is like you said, it's everybody. It's everybody all together in their own way, contributing to this. Hey, we're not alone. Which I feel like that Me Too hashtag movement, that whole coming out, that whole like unraveling is a huge part of this. Is women knowing that they're a part of something bigger than themselves. But even though there's something bigger than themselves, them being source of what they bring matters, like, and cannot be replaced.
It's our time.
Our time.
And I see a lot of women that are going for it. That inspires me as well. And thank you for that. That's amazing coming from you. Yes. And then I also hear a lot of women that are afraid and fearful. And so the two part of my mission on this is really truly is to validate the ones that are going for it.
Yes.
Because I think no matter how great you can get, you can always use a validation. You can be Beyonce and you could still use a validation.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the other side of the spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, where I want to do this, but I'm kind of scared. And hearing different things with women and different stories, because my story can only resonate with, you know, I'm an immigrant from the Philippines. I came here when I was 20 years old. I was sued when I was 21 because if I didn't know the system, etc. Like, there's only so much people that can resonate with my story, and what better way to have different journeys on the podcast so that every string of the heart can be hit, no matter who you are, because of the different dynamic of my guests. And those are the two components, is to inspire others that are really scared, that are on that crossroads. And then the revelation that came out of that as a combination is, and you've probably seen me put it out there on social media, is mothering the world one mother hustler at a time.
Yes. I love that. Yes. I love that. Because we all have a nurturing ability. And I went through, this reminds me of the Goddess Retreat. So I trained in, and went through some training, and then went back and coached at a place called Choice Center in Las Vegas. And it is a emotional intelligence and leadership training. And through the process, there's I came in contact with an amazing speaker and guide or leader, whatever, mother, amazing heroine, right? And her name is Sylvia, and she's a trainer there, and she leads up Goddess Retreat. So I went on this weekend with all these women, and part of the training and the huge part of what I took from that is that there's a little girl inside of all of us, and wherever that trauma hit in that lifetime of the little girl, if we don't guide her to maturity, she can very easily get stuck there. So a lot of times, if that little girl is stuck at 13 years old, when that girl was raped, or when she lost a very special person, or when she fell and got hit by a car, I don't know, whatever traumatic incident happened at that age, she could get stuck there. And it's a matter of our mother, our developed where we developed as a woman to go back and say it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So and I got you. So it's us meeting that little girl where she's at and saying, we're not in this alone. You're not in this alone. I got you. And to guide them through and to help them be mature and develop into the woman where we ultimately meet the woman that we are now and the girl that was there, and say, okay, let's do this now. And then that process might take years in development, but little by little it's done, and we guide them. And then when we're in those like really tough times, we as the woman, we go in and to the little girl and say, it's okay, you're gonna be okay. And oh my gosh, during the last couple of years, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. It's okay, just breathe. It's okay to cry. It's okay to yell, and if someone doesn't know that they can do that for themselves, then as a mother, we can go to the younger girls who aren't mothers yet, or we can go to the other mother and say, you know what, it's okay, I got you. So
we need mothers too. I was just telling my kids the other day, I need my mama. And they just laugh, because they look at you, it's like, you're our mom and you need a mom, like I joke around that, but it's true. We need a mother.
Absolutely.
And so
I'm really close to my mom.
Yeah, with listening to you overall, I can hear that you have been personally developed, because you can tell when a person is or not.
Yes.
When you have gone through a spiritual experience and you have flipped a switch in your brain that I don't question what happened in the past. Yeah. I know it's part of the whole design, right?
The whole journey.
And that's what I do now. It's like, I don't dwell on the past because it's part of the whole design. And I'm not dead, so therefore I still have a purpose, and I have not gotten it there yet, because whoever created me, God, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, will tell me to come home, and will do whatever it takes to make me come home if it's my time.
Yes.
You talk about that little girl, and I have a friend, and I was nodding my head because I have a friend that is a full potential habits coach. Oh. And we talk about that. He doesn't call it that little girl inside of you, but he coaches business people, almost talking about that little girl, but not in that way. He coaches that when somebody is so successful, they wear power suits every day, you look at them and you look like they look like super successful. They're a 10 in their profession. They couldn't do any wrong. They're just kicking some butt in their profession. And then they come home and they're a 1. When you go back into that little girl self, like I'm talking about, I'm using your terminology. You're a 1 because you still go back into that. You haven't quite learned how to tell that little girl, it's going to be okay. We got this, right? Right. And so one day I had shared with them that I had a blowout with a friend, and he asked me to tell him just a little bit about it. And he says, when you blow out of proportion, you actually didn't blow out of proportion because of that specific situation. It's that past in you, and we can call it that little girl that went through that trauma. Because I went through, as a 6-year-old, watching my mom go through some real hardships with my dad, and some domestic violence and things of that nature. And he said that when you react to somebody, it's actually not your current person reacting to it. Right. It's that deep down there somewhere that if he talks to business people, it's holding you back from really getting your full potential, unless you learn how to leverage and take care of that emotion. And leverage it and say, okay, wait a minute, this is a little girl in me reacting right now. I need to take a pause and process the situation. And you actually, instead of reacting badly, you are saying, you know what, let's have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear you out. I don't think I heard you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that again instead of like reacting? If you know how to control that little girl in you. So when you said that, like, oh my gosh, that's what my friend Alex just like tell me all the time is
Yeah.
it holds you back, really. I think it does if you don't know how to control it.
Sure. Or nurture it, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I feel like when I do that for myself, it's challenging because I can get stuck in a drift, right? And I'm not enough, and why am I not enough? And he's dumping me because of this and that. So I'm going through this transition, this divorce, right, with my husband, and he just left the space here, and we're recreating our relationship. Like so, so last week was like, don't ever call me again, you know? And then, and that's coming from my worthy conversation, my not enough conversation, the conversation of, it's just boiled. That's just what it is. I'm not enough. That's the lie. That's where it comes from, the, the conversation of the child, the little girl, that's where that comes from. But uh, that's
It's
heavy.
the noise. It's the noise that we listen to all
Yeah,
the
okay.
time.
That's what I was saying. So if I get stuck in that conversation, it's like a broken fucking record over and over. You're not enough. You're not. See that he said this, and see she said that. This is what happened, and it's always trying to prove. I could always stand in the place of proving. See, I am enough, or just say it's okay that you feel that way, but come on, we are enough now. And not any other person or circumstance is going to prove to us that we are. We get to step into, I am enough. I matter. And anybody who doesn't believe that for themselves is just, it's okay. It's not their time to be a part of our life anymore. And it's okay to say, you did what you did because of you, not anything to do. That has nothing to do with me and everything to do with your own unnurtured, unresolved issues that happen in your past, as you and your little boy self.
Yeah. So when
Which
I was
doesn't come out
writing,
very well sometimes. I'm not a little boy.
I swear I can have a beer with you right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a shot of tequila.
Exactly.
So I love how you said we're recreating our relationship, because when I think a lot of divorces, I think it's normal to go through the mourning process and to go through some hate and to go through some, but what I love about you is you're so self-aware that when you get to that, you know how to pull yourself back and say, okay, hold on a second. You're not the person that I want to be. So we need to get back to, and the way that you frame your word is we're recreating our relationship, not ending our relationship. So I love that.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
You
And
know?
there's just, I tried that on, right? Ending the relationship and being like severing a person from my life. And even if it was through death, I feel like I cannot sever the relationship. He is part of me. He is a part of my makeup. This vessel, we are a part of each other. And so I'm not ready to end, and he's not ready to end the bond that we have. And to try to label it marriage, wife, husband, friend, business partner, it just, none of those really work. It's just like we're a part of each other's lives in so many different ways. And so now we have to emotionally control our emotions around what was and what might be, and take the risk of just living here right now. Yeah. And so that doesn't come easily. I mean, that comes after like 10 years of fucking breakdown, after breakdown, after breakdown, after breakthrough. And it's like, it's taken a lot of time. Thank you for acknowledging the self-development, because we've both done a lot of work, read and had mentors, business mentors, personal coaches and life coaches and classes and training. Oh my, so much, but it's all so worth it, because here we are now being able to co-create a new version of us. Yeah,
it makes personal development makes such a whole new world for you, opens up this whole new world for you and it's really mind bending. I came from corporate America. My background is banking and insurance and all that other, whatever, nice title and everything. But none of that matters to me now. And that's through personal development, because when I was in corporate America, I had this book storage in my office, and I had amazing books in there that I was gifted to me. I never picked them up. I never even read the foreword, neither the introduction. And then you go through life, and sometimes you seek for something. You don't even know what you're seeking for.
Yes.
You just know that you're not satisfied, and no matter how much money you make, you're like empty.
Yes.
So you seek for that, and then you start this journey that you didn't even know it was a soul searching journey. It's a personal development journey. And through my soul searching, I came across books, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have these books. Yeah. And I started reading just small, I think when we have the tendency to shut down and say, I don't want to read a book because it's thick. But I think we need to take it a little bit of every day and just commit to a daily habit. And when I started doing that, it totally turned on a lot of switch in my mindset that I didn't even think it was there. And, I used to judge a lot of people, and I'm not gonna not admit that. Sure. Now, when someone judge others, like I don't even hear it. Like I heard it, but it's immediately out of my brain, because you don't know that person's story. You don't know that person's journey. Right. Every journey has a story behind it. And for you to judge it because of what you see is so unacceptable. Yeah. And so I'm so self-aware, very awakened human being. When you're talking to me, I resonate a lot with what you're saying, and that's how I know, Melina's had a lot of personal development.
A lot. And I still need a lot more.
The more we are personally developed, the more we are hungry for it. Yes, like it becomes like brushing your teeth or showering every day. It's part of you. So you talk a lot about Vezel and the bus, right? And the driver of the bus. And my word of the year this year is coach. Or no, I'm sorry, it's ride. It's like I'm everybody's ride. And what's so fascinating is that when I started this word of the year, I believe in 2013. So I've had 5 word of the years.
Love it.
And every time I pick one, I always achieve something every year, because every day, even my alarm has that label on it, just to always see it all the time. So ride. So this year I wrote a small book that's quick read, and all these other stuff that I've just thought I'd never accomplish because of the word. And I wanted to, like, again, live in service and serve others, and just, share contents that really will help others grow themselves and inspire others to not only, I hate the word inspire sometimes, because I want people to just not just get inspired and go back in their old ways, but I want them to get inspired into action, and if they're inspired enough by what I'm doing, I want them to also take that and then push them into executing whatever it is they've been wanting to do in their life. So being just inspired is no longer enough for me if somebody's not it's good, but I want those people that are inspired by this podcast to take action and be fearless about, or remove the fear or that wall that's just been stopping them from becoming who they should be.
Yes. So like in my coaching, so I did the training that I did was over about 120, 130 days. And then after I completed, I went back and coached. It's total volunteer work. So I volunteered for another journey. And so basically more than 200 days of the year, I was in service, first inward then complete outward focus.
Wow.
So one of the major things that I learned was to meet someone where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're inspired but not ready to take action, why is that? And let's look at that. Let's look at just that little, let's look through a pinhole real quickly and see what is coming up for you around that. What emotion is coming up? What does this remind you of? You know, all that. So if I'm able to meet someone where they're at, it's really important for me, and it's developing in me the empathy that is needed in that relationship. You know, so I get to find more ways to be in service. I get to create the time more often. So I started, you're talking about a quick read. I started writing, I guess it would be like a mini ebook or something. It's called 10 Absolutes to Remember When You Feel Like the Will to Live Has Left the Building.
Wow.
So at a certain time, before I started the major self-development, because sorry, my phone was buzzing. I went to my first Tony Robbins class when I was 19. I went back when I was 26. You know, I went to UPW, walked on fire, you know, learned about limiting beliefs. And then I started this major training and coaching in Las Vegas in 2015. And in March of 2015, my date to like off myself was May 24th, 2015. I had a day, I had a plan. I was done. I was like, fuck life. I'm done living this. I don't get it. It's not for me. I'm not doing it well. I'm failing, you know, and I cry every day, depression, you know, this bullshit. And there are actually things, actions. I believe that motion and motion creates emotion. And so if we're able to take that action, then we can change the emotion around what's going on. And so one of them, you know, just breathe, breathe in breath. Just acknowledge that the breath going in is cooler than it's coming out. And when that allows to get real present, you know, and that little simple action and attention, awareness, you know, shifts everything.
Do you follow Jay Shetty?
No, I don't know who that is.
He used to be a monk. Yes. So he used to be a monk.
Okay.
And you reminded me of him, and what he said about his monk school was when he first got there, he saw, I think it was a 12-year-old monk teaching 5-year-old monks.
So cute.
And he asked the teacher, you know, what are you doing? He says, I'm teaching the 5-year-old monks the first thing they need to learn about monk school, to being a monk. And he says, what did they learn? And he says, breathing. The first thing they teach in monk school is how to breathe, because breathing changes your emotions, changes your whole entire mood. And if you are stressed, breathe. If you are having a challenge, breathe. And it truly changed the way that you feel almost immediately. And that was really eye-opening to me when I heard that. So if you have the time, there's an interview of him on YouTube by Tom. I can't even remember his last name, but he hosts a show. Yeah, he hosts a show called Impact Fury. Tom Ballou is his name, but Impact Fury is the show, and Jay Shetty is on there, and that's what it is. It's amazing. Anyways, we're out of time. I'm gonna ask you. Wow, that went fast. Already almost 1 hour. I could totally talk to you forever. Yes. So first of all, I want to commend you for all your success, and part of your success is your, you know, obviously your struggles and all that. That's all part of being successful.
Yes, it is.
Because when you go through that, nothing is more successful than overcoming a lot of challenges and adversities. And I want to commend you for being mature about what you're going through, because I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of really strength to see it as a recreation of a relationship versus the negative word, right? I
Thank you.
love that new terminology that I learned from you. And in every podcast that I do, I always learn at least one thing.
Yeah.
And if there was one thing that I learned today, it's that how you frame what you're going through as a recreating your relationship with your husband versus cutting it off, right?
Yes.
So I also commend you for, of course, being a mother and a hustler,
Yeah.
because that is not an easy feat.
Hustling. That reminds me.
It is not easy. So where can people find you, Melina?
Of course, on Facebook. My fan page is Melina Simone Media. And then I'm establishing motherhustlermovement.com. And so as my podcast starts to roll out, I've only recorded 2 or 3. I'm baby. I'm in the infancy stages. But as that rolls out, every episode, I want to give away a coffee mug or a shirt or whatever, and then hashtag Mother Hustler. And then we start to create more of the moms coming together and really creating a movement towards, this is what I'm into, this is what I'm up to, this is where I fell back, this is, this is where I need support. Who's out there that can support me, So hashtag Mother Hustler. And those are the main places. And Instagram, Melina
That's
Simone.
cool.
I'm legally changing my middle name to Simone. And so Nina Simone talks about it's a new day, it's a new dawn, right?
Yep.
And it's a new life for me. And this is the journey right now. And if you cut up the word into syllables, SI is Spanish for C, yes?
Yes.
M, right? SIM, and then ONE. ONE is one love, one version, one truth, and WONE could be one. And so CM1. As I tell myself, I'm very competitive, right? So I'm like, I don't care what happens, I win.
I love your twist on the word, because I love messing with words. Like success, like everything has to suck first before success, right?
Yes.
Before you move on to success. I play on words a lot, because I really truly believe that these words come from the truth, right?
Yes.
And we don't know where these words come from other than the new words that are now coming out. But anyways, and like my friend Alex that I was talking about, mistakes, they're not really a failure, they're just missed takes. Right. You just missed a take. Right. It's not that you didn't try, you tried your best, but you missed a take. Now do it again, right? Right. So I love playing on words too, like you are doing.
Love it.
So one question, or actually a couple questions. Okay. So at the end of your, well, first I want to ask, what is the one lesson you learned from your mom that you want to pass on your kids? Pass on to your kids?
Which is the lesson I'm living right now, is family sticks together. Family sticks together. Awesome. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter how bad someone has effed up. You stick together. So awesome. That's the main lesson my mom has taught me.
Awesome. And then, so this is my favorite question to all of my guests. At the end of all this journey, you're on your deathbed. Your entire life flashes in front of you. You have accomplished everything and you've left no stones unturned. You killed it in life and you have everything you've ever wanted. Your kids ask you their last question. They're standing around your deathbed and they say, Mom, what are the top 3 things you are proud of as accomplishing as a mother? What would those 3 things be?
Wow, that's intense. The top 3 things is that they know, because I have showed them and have demonstrated that they matter, that they're completely individual, and that everything they bring to the world and to the people that come in and out of their life matters. That they know that I've taught them that. That we are all created in God's image in the way that we are all divine. We are all God. We are all love. We are all connected. And that the next person that they walk by is equal, and that and that we are all connected. The third thing that it was not perfect, that I want them to learn that I've messed up a lot, that I've made a lot of mistakes, that I've continue to seek, I continue to learn. Yes, I've gone through a lot of development, but I'm just beginning, and we're always in process. So that they learn that I tried my best, that in everything that I did my best. And I've the demonstration of that in marriage is like just a pure example is I've tried everything to keep the marriage together, you know, to stay married. I did my best, and it gets to shift. It gets to be recreated. So now I get to do my best at that. So
that's great. Yeah. Thank you for all that.
Where'd that come from? I would never have said those things if you had not asked me the specific question. That's amazing.
See, that's good, because your kids are going to listen to it one day, and they're going to be like, wow. So last question before I let you go. What's your definition of a mother hustler?
Ooh. My definition of a mother hustler is a woman who has stepped into every situation with knowing she has all the tools, she has every right, every ability to crush it in every form or fashion. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, girlfriend, I enjoyed this so much. I can't wait to do it like side by side or next to you one of these days.
You come on mine.
Yes, I'll definitely come on yours, and we're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We'll see you.
You're a brilliant light. Love and light.
We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.